So maybe you're doing some activities, maybe get some rank ups, and all that falls to you is a certain trace rifle from the season. Maybe you're just like me, because that's what happened. You might as well just craft it. I'm talking about the path of least resistance, and no, I'm not talking about playing trials with bastion shields and healing grenades. I'm talking about the trace rifle. Here's what's crazy about this thing. It's actually really, really good. It is. It has some things no other traces have. It does great things. But even though they've gotten buffs here and there, these trace rifles are just still in a bad spot. Still kind of off. They're not quite there yet. It's one of the best, worst weapons in the game. Jack of all trades, master of some, but most of the time, master of none. PvP-wise, sure, you can absolutely beam someone. It's lightning fast. It feels good when you do that, but let's go ahead and start there in the Crucible. Multiple issues there. I want to start off with a very, very important question to ask you, so think about it. This is going to help determine where you need to go with this thing, where your mindset should be. When you were a kid, did you like Easter egg hunting? Because if you did, that is great. A trace rifle is perfect for you. You're going to have to hunt green bricks sprinkled throughout the map, rush to them, hope others don't get them. It's the game within the game, the green brick goblin. You start off with 50, a brick picks up 29. You're going to take into account missing, and you're going to miss. Sure, they're going to be out of range, whatever it is. More on that later. The game keeps shifting and shifting. Overshields, health regen, restoration, cure. If you're in a gunfight and an enemy resets it, like, it's over for you. It's going to take the rest of the mag. Then you're going to pick up 29, and if they do it again, someone else, it's really over. You're going to find that a trace rifle is hungry every single second that it's in your hand, like comically over the top hungry for ammo. They did get some substantial buffs not too long ago, under the radar because no one uses traces. Rare to see them in the Crucible and PvE. Even further back, they got a PvE buff. They do 40% more damage to miners. And this paragraph really sums up the situation that these things are in overall. They said, like auto rifles, they've not been popular at high levels outside of some particular niche builds. They wanted to increase performance. They did a small increase in damage, and they said that that was too strong. They said it's being consistently downed by a 900 SMG that has Rampage on at 30 to 35 meters. So yeah, we don't want that. And they ended up finding that the lack of stability made it difficult for them to be used at further points to get sustained precision fire on moving targets. So they did the same thing to auto rifles, but it got more. And auto rifles after that stability buff feel completely different. And these do too. They increase the effect of the stability stat on recoil reduction at the low end by around 10% and at the high end of the stat by 25%. Auto rifles are 20. After using this thing, like mission critical on these, get to 100 stability. M&K air controller, that is the high end. Around 25% more stable than they were at 100 before. And it makes all the difference in the world. Like, it translates in game. It is a laser beam now, and since it's highly stable, you can track better, it shoots cleaner, it combats flinch a lot better. It has some things going for it, and they are one buff away from being completely busted or on the right track. They're kind of sleeping giants. One wrong buff can send them to a place we don't want to be. And this one, like I said and started with, it has pretty much everything that you would want. It's technically the best dueling trace in the game, and it has PvE qualities. But the more I use it, it's just a weapon without a place. As far as your barrel and battery, I crafted mine small bore particle repeater stability masterwork, again, to get the full benefits at all times out of the gate, 100 stability. That change is what makes the wheels turn on these things now. And even though there are great perks to get stability up and having high uptime within the perk selection, there's things like tap the trigger, I personally just want it out of the gate at all times. And those other perks are still going to be very useful even though you have 100 stability. If you want to have more range, go for that. But after these ARs getting the stability bump that they got, and this buff getting more than the ARs, it's clear to me after using them. It's almost needed to duel in the Crucible. Now, PvE, not nearly as important, but it is a completely different shooting experience. You're going to see perks like Volt Shot, which is cool. We have this PvE buff to miners, but it still struggles heavily. As soon as I got Volt Shot unlocked, I slotted it with stats for all. That way I can get the reload with Volt Shot. That way I can kind of get through the craft a little bit easier. Underwhelming. Fast RPM, sure. Capped RPM, actually, so when it jolts and you start hitting that target, it does melt. Big difference between mowing down a jolted target, a yellow bar, and then just shooting the base trace at another yellow bar. Completely different. And as a special, it's got a pretty good jolt modifier with its RPM. The low-end ads are fine, but the mid-tier miners like these Acolytes, it's just a pain. You're constantly trying to feed ammo to it. It's painful. And when you look at it, like, in what world would you use Volt Shot on this over the Eiklos SMG, Brigand's Law, Tempered Metal? We have things in that other column like One for All. There's Focus Fury, and that's kind of exciting. Great perks on a weapon that can take advantage of them, but again, the ammo economy, the damage that it does, the constant searching. I have on double reserves, double finders, and I still have to bring out my hand cannon because everything's dry and I have to find bricks. It's horrible. And it sucks because everything is there. Everything's there for this thing to wreck shop. Very good perks and combinations to shine, but it's falling short. Laughable to take into a GM. Laughable to take anywhere, really, except for general play. I mean, I'm at the start of Grasp here. Like, how would this thing do in a GM? We have adaptive munitions, triple tap, maybe triple tap Focus Fury. All of that sounds exciting, but it's somewhat wasted on a trace rifle. They are. Great on paper, horrible in practice. The traces just simply aren't there. So when we look back at the Crucible, poor ammo economy, 0.73 TTK, which is respectable, 11 crit, 1 body, and that is achievable with the stability changes. It is, and when you do it, it is great. But the total landscape, second chance, heals, overshields, all the time, it's miserable. It is. You're on the brick hunt every moment. When you look at the perks, though, we have hipfire. That can be enhanced. And at base, because it's a beam, that's pretty good accuracy. And if you're at 100 stability, it is, or near 100, it lands shots without hipfire, so that's an extra edge that it's going to have. I did craft hipfire, tap the trigger, that's been in some gameplay, but I also went with dynamic sway, tap the trigger, even at 100 stability, because at that point, the situation that we're in with these things, you're starting to take advantage of the accuracy that those perks give. Like, dynamic sway is tied to RPM for stability, so yeah, it's going to get there incredibly fast to get the stability up. DSR also gives accuracy, cone size, and growth. That's why you're using it. Free accuracy out of the gate. Even if you have 100 stability, doesn't matter. They're separated. We have tap the trigger. On that trigger pull, plus 40 stability. Great if you're under 100 stability, but if you are, it's also getting the recoil to 100, and it's giving you accuracy, cone size. So we have accuracy just constantly coming out of this thing with 100 stability. They got the 25% stability buff. It's the accuracy that's helping you win now in that duel. If anything, go to 90 because DSR will get to 100 really quick. But again, I just want it out of the gate at all times. If I have to stop shooting, start shooting, whatever, that's why I crafted it that way. This right here does make it the best dueling trace rifle in the game, without question. 2 accuracy perks, 100 stability, but even then, it doesn't do well. There's going to be some times where it does shine. And you see other perks like Focus Fury in PvP, and that's kind of exciting, but you've seen the gameplay. You're going to need bricks. You're constantly running around. You're going to be out of ammo a lot. It's not worth it over tap the trigger's accuracy. It's not. You could try things like 100 stability with gut shot straight, but why? It's just kind of a mess. Again, it sucks when you look at it. It has everything, it does. Best dueling perks, some of the best PvE perks, Volt Shot, One for All, enhanced everywhere. It makes sense on paper, but in game, it's not ready for it, like at all. They're still in a bad spot, and I'm not even really sure what they could do to them. I am happy I crafted this thing because it has the framework to dominate if they get a buff. I'm going to come back to it if that happens and recraft it, do whatever I need to do. But right now, it's currently number 479 out of 500 in my vault, and it's going to sit there. If you're new here, remember to hit the subscribe button, and if you are subscribed, thank you so much for your support. I have the Glaive review coming up, and I do recommend that you get that thing crafted. It does a couple cool things. Really cool combat loops with build crafting. Very powerful. More on that later, but now, what do you think about this trace, and what do you think about trace rifles in general? Thank you for watching, and until the next one, I am CoolGuy.